When I was in the 8th grade, the school hired this man to come out and talk to the boys for an hour about healthy lifestyle. He talked about diet, he talked about drinking lots of water, getting proper exercise, and a right amount of sleep, and like that. Of course, he told us to stay away from alcohol, cigarettes, and assorted other activities, as you might imagine. Well, as he started to talk through his lecture after he did his introduction, he started to tell everybody about breathing. He told us how important it was to breathe, and he said, fill your lungs up when you go outside, and take in all this good oxygen. And as he's going around the room, he's telling everybody, fill your lungs up, fill your lungs up. And then he points at me. He says, you're not doing it. You're not doing what I told you. Fill your lungs up, fill your lungs up. Now, I knew the guy was full of nonsense because I knew what he was telling everybody was wrong. But I was a kid. I wasn't going to stand up to a gentleman who had the authority of the class. I didn't talk back to adults to begin with, so I certainly wasn't going to challenge this guy. So I tried to do what he told me to do, right? Fill your lungs up, fill your lungs up. He wanted to see my shoulders going up and down and all this, wanted to see my chest bounce out and all that. So, and after I did that, I found myself gasping for air because my lungs weren't taking in sufficient oxygen. The reason they weren't taking in oxygen is because I was shutting off all my breathing capacity by tensing up and like that. And I knew that. And I happen to have known it because at the time I was playing wind instruments. You know what those are? You have to blow on them, right? And so it takes wind to do that. And I had gone to this class, this lecture, that was given by a vocal instructor to singers and speakers about how to breathe. And she taught us all how to breathe diaphragmatically. All right? Now, the deal is, if you breathe into your lungs, you only get about 50% capacity. Don't shoot me if I got the number wrong, but you get the idea. You don't get the full capacity that you can actually take in. But if you allow your organs to move out of the way, your diaphragm will fill up, and the lungs will actually fill up to capacity with air. Now, over the years, I've tried to explain this to other people in a lot of different ways, and I finally found one that worked, right? I'll explain it to you a little bit later. But let me preface this. Have you ever seen a child sleeping, or say a pet, a cat or a dog? Have you ever noticed when they're sleeping, their stomach seems to go up and down like that? Right? That's diaphragmatic breathing. What's happening is that the organs in the body are actually moving out of the way as the diaphragm expands. And as the diaphragm expands, you're taking in the fullest capacity of oxygen that you can, right? So this teacher was teaching us how to do that, right? And at that point, I practiced it a lot because I needed more air. I wanted to be able to blow notes longer than I had been doing. So I practiced it diligently, and I got to do it. And on the day of the class what this guy was telling us about health, I was breathing diaphragmatically. And as you see me right now, I am breathing diaphragmatically. My shoulders going up, my chest bulging out. None of that. My stomach is moving in and out softly, quietly, gently, quite in a relaxed way. I'm taking in as much oxygen as my lungs will hold while I speak to you, and try to explain how this stuff works. That's diaphragmatic breathing. One of the ways I learned about it early on was to say, lie down on a couch or on a bed and just let yourself breathe naturally, and you will notice that your body will naturally go into diaphragmatic breathing, right? It's the way we were meant to breathe. A lot of us choke it all off because of tension and so forth. We cut that capacity of the diaphragm to open up and take the air. So that's how I learned it. I lay on a couch and I purposely paid attention to my breathing so that I could see that my stomach was rising and falling very gently and very politely, and allowing my lungs to take in the most air. That's how I learned it. And later on, I tried to teach it to other people. I would ask them to lie down. I actually asked one group I was working with to lie down on the floor. They all objected to that because the floor was not necessarily been cleaned off for people to lie on it. But I actually had them do it, and I asked them to pay attention to their breathing so they could get this idea of diaphragmatic breathing. Once you do it and you practice a little bit, if you live your life that way, you'll find that you're much calmer and you have enough oxygen. Oxygen feeds your muscles and it gives you that sort of energy and everything. And it's a lot easier way to breathe once you practice a little bit and pay attention to it. Well, over time, I learned an even easier way to learn diaphragmatic breathing. And I offer the idea to you today. If you want to take advantage of it, I recommend that you at least give it a shot. It's a whole lot easier way to learn diaphragmatic breathing. You can do it anywhere. You can do it right here and now. And it's very, very simple. The idea is that we're going to put our hands over our head. Now, what I was told when I learned this particular technique, they said lock your hands together. There's different ways to do it. You know, they had us locking our fingers, but I just grab my wrist like this. Put your arms over your head, straight up as you can. That's all there is to it. And then just sit like this for a minute and notice how your breathing goes. In this sort of a physiological condition, you will automatically begin diaphragmatic breathing. Your stomach will go in and out. Now, if I stop talking for a second, I can feel it even more than I can when I'm trying to speak to you. My shoulders going up. My chest bulging out. Am I straining like a son of a gun, like a boa constrictor? Not at all. Now, back in the day when I was trying to learn diaphragmatic breathing for blowing instruments, I would practice how long I could blow a stream of air. And I actually got up to a minute. I think I got past a minute back in my youth. I can't do it now. I wouldn't, it's not even the point now. It's just the idea that I learned how to do the breathing and it's become natural and it really works for me. So why do I tell you all this diaphragmatic breathing stuff, right? It helps us calm down. Oftentimes I tell folks, just breathe. This is no big deal. It's not difficult. It's not hard. You don't have to do some technique. You don't have to breathe in for the count of 124 and hold it for a count of 68 and then blow it out for a count of 72. You don't have to do any of that. Just calm down and breathe, right? When you do that, it calms the body. The lungs take in the oxygen goes to the muscle and the rest of the system, and you calm down naturally. We're not going to start this again, are we? But there's a story attached to this. Some time ago, years ago, actually now, this was before COVID, I was seeing people in my private office. A gentleman came in, and he was a wreck. I mean, this guy was coming apart at the seams. He couldn't sit still. He was crying. He was like sobbing. He was like trying to choke out words. He couldn't tell me what was going on. He couldn't tell me what was up. But he was clearly in a state of panic, anxiety, etc., etc. So I tried to talk him down. I just spoke very calmly to him. I said, it's all right. Just breathe. Just relax. I had him sort of semi-recline on a couch that I had there, like a love seat. It was comfortable. I said, just kind of lean back and just breathe, right? And as I spoke to him, I remember that I'd seen this sort of talk in TV shows and movies and other places. It's like when the emergency room guy or the nurse or somebody in the hospital room comes up to them and tells the people, just calm down and breathe. What they're trying to do in those instances, and what I was trying to do, was to get the guy calm because I wanted him to stop squeezing his muscles. When you're upset like that, when you got anxiety, when you have panic, all your muscles tighten up and it squeezes your chest. You can't breathe properly. So I said, God, calm down, just calm down. Everything's fine. We're going to get through this. I sort of tried to talk him down until he could get to the point where he could just breathe naturally. And as he finally got into that point, I finally talked him down to a place he started to do diaphragmatic breathing quite naturally. He was kind of like leaned back a little bit. He wasn't, across the couch or anything. But he just started breathing calmly. And as he calmed down, I could see the tension release from his body, his shoulders and his arms, his, uh, his fists were clenched, they unclenched, and etc., etc. He calmed down and he was able to talk and start to tell me what was going on, right? So when we talk about breathing, I think about the man who couldn't breathe. He was nearly going to pass out because he wasn't getting oxygen. It's just like me when I was in the 8th grade and that guy kept, "You're not doing it, you're not breathe, right?" And I tried to do that. I was actually choking off the breath. I wasn't breathing at all. I was taking in some oxygen to be sure, but it wasn't a lot. And I eventually found myself gasping for air because I didn't have enough in my lungs. So the whole idea is to calm down, especially when you're panicked. Release the tension in your body. Just let it go, because that's how we're going to solve the problem that's at hand. Whatever issue is in front of us, we can look at if we calm the body down, breathe, relax the muscles, and then see clearly. And so we can deal with an issue that's going on that's causing the anxiety or the panic or the whatever. It is a valuable technique to learn. It is really simple. You can lie on your couch or your bed, or you can just hold your arms up over your head. Really, you should just do it right now. Put your arms up. This is what I'm doing. Just put them up like that and notice that you're breathing from your stomach, or it feels like you're breathing from your stomach. You're actually filling your lungs up to capacity with air, and the lungs are withdrawing the oxygen. The stomach is moving, the muscles, or the organs rather, are moving out of the way, which is why your stomach rises. When you exhale, they go back and your stomach goes back in again. It's that simple. I recommend this to everybody. Learn how to breathe. Learn how to calm yourself down. It will really help you in times of panic and anxiety. First thing to do is to clear out the area in your brain, clear out the clutter, right? A friend of mine was in construction. He used to tell me all the time that the guys he worked with in construction always complained at him and laughed at him because the first thing he did when he went on the job was to clear out the area. He took out anything they could step on that could go through a boot or to trip somebody up or be in the way when you're trying to do your work, etc. He would clean out the area first, and then he would set to the chore at hand. And he said, I always finished before everyone else because he took the time, cleared it all out. Then he just banged it out, went on through and walked off laughing because he was done before they were. Clear out your brain, clear out your thinking. And we do that by breathing calmly, quietly, and deeply, right? Diaphragmatic breathing. It's really simple. But it's like everything else I tell you guys, you have to practice a little bit, right? If you're doing it naturally, great. You don't need it. Use it to calm yourself down. But if you don't breathe that way, if you find yourself being tense in your chest and your shoulders and etc., and you feel like you can't get enough oxygen, then practice diaphragmatic breathing. Learn how to calm yourself down. And then remember to use it in times of anxiety and panic. That is a big one. People say, yeah, I got it, Jim, I can do it. But I forget it when I'm in the time of panic or anxiety. I forget to do it. Yes, I understand. We have to practice that. First, we practice doing it. We know we can do it. Try to make it part of our everyday life. And then we have to remember to clear out our mind and do it in times of panic and anxiety or any kind of problem you're having at all. If someone at work or at home comes at you and they're angry, first thing you do, like my friend, clear out the area, not of them, but of you. Clear it out. Take a deep breath, calm down, say, now what seems to be the problem? Now you're there, you're in the moment, you're focused, you're connected, and you can deal with the issue at hand. Clear the area, calm down, breathe, relax yourself, and then focus on what needs to be done, right? I hope that helps some of you, and I hope you do practice it, and I hope you write in. Send me an email, by the way. Just in case you didn't get it, this is Counselor's Couch 101. Still the same pronoun until they come and make it illegal and cart us all away. But until then, it's still the same pronoun, and you can send me an email, and I wish you would. at counselorscouch101@mail.com. Just mail.com. counselorscouch101@mail.com. Tell me the things that are on your mind, things that you'd like to see addressed here. If I can use your name, let me know. If I can use your circumstance, let me know. If you'd like to remain anonymous, that's fine too, but give me permission to at least mention the issue. By the way, a lot of the stories I tell are composite stories. I try not to tell anybody's personal story verbatim because I'm trying to respect everyone's privacy. But as human beings, we have a lot in common. So oftentimes people call up and say, hey, you told my story. And it wasn't their story at all. It's just a common thing that a lot of people go through that I was asked about and I addressed. So sometimes, and oftentimes, I try to make composite stories so as not to out anybody, just to get the issue up and in front of your ears and your eyes so that you can consider it. All right. So today, Counselor's Couch 101, it's about deep breathing. Remember the man who couldn't breathe. And then remember that that's what you should be doing. You should be breathing all day long, every day, for your entire life. Diaphragmatic, it calms you down, makes you feel good. It allows you clarity to deal with the issues of your day. Hope that helps. Thanks for dropping by. I look forward to talking with you next time. Deep breathing.